The NFL Combine rages on in Indianapolis, so we have some major Panthers draft rumors to discuss on today's show as Carolina is meeting with a bunch of blue chip prospects. My name is Tyler Smith, and you're watching Panthers Today by Chat Sports. If you want the Panthers to crush the NFL draft in 2026, really improve this roster and take the next step, go down below and do one thing for me. Hit that thumbs up icon, like today's video. We'll break down a couple of the visits that the Panthers have had here from the NFL Combine, beginning with one of the best football players in the 2026 draft, Sonny Styles, linebacker out of Ohio State. And I'm going to be straight up with you guys. It is not super likely that Sonny Styles makes it to pick 19. He could be maybe a top 6, 7, 8 most talented football player in this class, but obviously positional need and whatnot can overtake you in the top 10. It shouldn't with Sonny Styles, though. I mean, he's a guy who I would consider trading up for. And when we think about what Dan Morgan said, I mean, the guy's 6'4", 240 and moves around the football field, absolutely flies. When Dan Morgan says they're going to attack the linebacker position, well, yeah, that would be attacking the linebacker position, going up and trading up for a guy like Sonny Styles. So I'd be all the way in on drafting him to Carolina here. You're going to have to move up from pick 19 most likely, though. Here is what Sonny Styles had to say about his meeting with the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, it was awesome. He was in there asking some good questions to me. So that was an awesome experience. I thought that meeting went really well, so it was a good time. Yeah, it was interesting. You could tell he played. Obviously I knew his history already, but you can tell by the way he was asking questions and like asking about eye progression and things like that. I just knew he played, and I knew he was good. I didn't know where he played and what team it was. I just knew he played, and I knew he was good.
A leg up that I think the Panthers have in terms of interviewing and having visits with a lot of these linebacker prospects is that Dan Morgan, the general manager, was a linebacker in this league and for the Carolina Panthers. So he can kind of show these guys and give these guys a good picture of what it is like to play for this organization and play at that position in this organization where there have been so many legends. Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis. Like, those are guys that a lot of these linebackers watch film of and have looked up to for their entire time coming up playing the game. So Sonny Styles is no different, and if he's got a good relationship with Dan Morgan already, then you know what? I'm all in. I'm making a move in the draft to go get him because he just put up numbers at Ohio State this past year, man. And in their national championship season in 2024, he was awesome as well. 6.5 TFLs this past season, had a sack out there, got an interception, so he can play in coverage as well, including 4 pass breakups. And he's just a playmaker out there, man. Had a forced fumble as well. And in terms of him, in coverage, he has 75 quarterback rating at the college level. Like, that's not good if you're the quarterback. It's really good if you're Sonny Styles, the linebacker here. Only allowed 168 yards in coverage, no touchdowns whatsoever, and he's got his hand on the football a couple of times as well. And this is something that, Sonny Styles has been doing his entire career as a Buckeye, man. Just making plays on the football field. Yeah, he only had 1 sack or half a sack in 2025, but in 2024 he had 6. He could be thrown on blitzes and is one of the most effective players in this class at getting to the quarterback from off of the ball. In 2023, no different. He had 2 sacks back then as well and always gets his hand on the football in one shape or way or form. Now, who does this kind of remind you of? Fred Warner, a guy who is always making plays at or around the line of scrimmage, gets sent on blitzes. He creates turnovers, forced fumbles, and interceptions left and right. Lance Zierlein of NFL.com, his pro comparison for Sonny Styles is Fred Warner. So if you guys had any reservations about potentially trading up for this guy in the draft, I mean, would you not trade up 7 spots if it meant that your team was going to go out there and get Fred Warner for a decade? Like, it's a no-brainer. You do that every single time. Fred Warner's the best linebacker in the league. He has gotten a little bit hurt as of late, but regardless, play style and pro projections, if you're going to get a potential Fred Warner on your defense, yeah, it's worth trading up 7 spots to 11 or 12 to go and get him. What do you guys think? Should Carolina's trade up for Sonny Styles? Why for yes and for no? Is that something that you're interested in this front office doing when the draft rolls around in April? All right, next up on the list, we're sticking to the linebacker spot, and we're keeping it with Jacob Rodriguez, Texas Tech, and a guy who has been rising up draft boards rapidly as of late. Really, really showed out well at the Senior Bowl. He was one of the highlight players from that instance down in Mobile, and he now at the Combine is going to test out really well, and I think he's going to move even further up draft boards. And It's not a guy who's necessarily projected to go round 1 or anything like that, but he is a player who just has a lot of heart and a lot of good instinct, and one of the smartest players at the position in this draft. 6'1", 230. Like he's a really, really sound football player and is always going to give it 110% on every snap. And he had awesome things to say about Carolina.
Yeah, I haven't had any conversations with him personally, but yeah, I've been talked about it. I've had some conversations with him. I met the Panthers at the Senior Bowl, met with them here, and it's been great. I'd be excited to be in Charlotte. I went for the Nagurski, and yeah, I thought it was a beautiful place, and I mean, I would love to see myself there as well. I think everything they do from top down, I think, again, a great organization that is training really well.
I just love that enthusiasm, man. And I'm not gonna lie, if the Panthers miss on Sonny Styles in round 1, don't get the opportunity to trade up for him, maybe he goes top 10. There's an absolute possibility of that happening. CJ Allen is a guy who's projected around where the Panthers are picking at 19. If you miss out or pass on him, then I think you have to make Jacob Rodriguez a priority in round 2. You want to talk about numbers? This guy put up numbers. And by the way, in the Big 12, where offenses are just putting up 50 points every single week, 128 tackles in 2025, 11 TFLs, 10 PBUs to 4 interceptions. This isn't to say that he's a better player than Sonny Styles, but he legit put up better numbers than Styles in 2025. 7 forced fumbles, 2 recoveries. Like, this guy just has a nose for the football. Did have some coverage lapses, though. Allowed 2 touchdowns, certainly more yards through the air in coverage there, but honestly, you can't go wrong with Styles. You can't go wrong with Rodriguez. They're both going to cover the middle of the field really, really well, and that's what Carolina has to do better in 2026. That's where they got killed on by the Los Angeles Rams in the playoffs. So getting a guy like Rodriguez in the building, I think, would be a no-brainer type of decision, and it seems like they're really interested in him. You heard it when he spoke. This is the second meeting that they've had with Rodriguez already. They met him down at the Senior Bowl, and there's been good conversation all around. So absolutely a name to keep an eye on here heading into the 2026 NFL Draft. Now, Zerline also had a pro comp for Rodriguez here, and it's a really good one as well, man. Carson Schlesinger, another guy who went early round 2 in the 2025 NFL Draft, and the guy who won Defensive Rookie of the Year. If you can get a guy like that who also flies around the football field, constantly making plays, knows for the football, then yes, I would very, very much welcome him to Carolina here in 2026. Next up, Genesis Smith, defensive back, free safety kind of cat over at, no pun intended, the Arizona Wildcats. And another guy who isn't necessarily going to go round 1, but he could be a, round 3, round 4 maybe if he falls type of selection here for Carolina. And there's no doubt in my mind that safety needs to be addressed in some priority. Like whether it's free agency or you end up passing on that position at a high clip during that period, and then you move on to the draft and you have to take one in the first 3-4 rounds. You got to go out there and get a new starting safety. Whether or not you bring back Nick Scott, I don't think he should be the starting safety opposite Morig in 2026. So go out there and maybe get a guy who's a little bit better in coverage overall in Genesis Smith, because that's really where he shines, right? 6'2", 202 pounds, but not necessarily a guy who's going to be the most effective tackler in the game. He's just certainly more of a cover your deep third of the field type of guy, free safety, roamer. Not going to be one that you want to play too far into the box, because he's really not a good run stopper whatsoever. Over his past 2 seasons, he didn't have much to say, by the way, about the Carolina Panthers when he was asked about his formal visits. He just lists them as one of the teams that he's met with. But, he put up solid numbers, right? Like a ball hawk, 3 interceptions back in 2024, 9 PBUs in each of the past 2 seasons. And he did have a couple of forced fumbles. He got his hand in there on a couple peanut punches and had a nose for the football to be able to jump on them as well. Not a guy who I'm going to be looking for in round 2 or maybe even round 3. He's got we were talking in the Chat Sports office about what a pro comp would be for Genesis Smith, and we kind of came to the conclusion of Geno Stone or maybe a late career Justin Simmons, like, really, really good over-the-top coverage guy, but, in terms of tackling and stopping the run, not good whatsoever. Daylen Everette, another defensive back here. We're going back. We're going to the Georgia Bulldogs here for another guy who could be taken in the middle rounds, maybe an early day 3 guy if he ends up falling, but I think he's got a lot better upside than Genesis Smith, if you ask me, because there's just more to Daylen Everette's game. He's a more multifaceted guy. True boundary corner, 6'1", 190. Those are the measurables, and solid wingspan too. Those are the measurables that the Panthers like when it comes to bringing in boundary corners here. And look, Everette had his hand all over the football in 2025. 10 PBUs, 50 tackles. He had a QB hit as well, so he got sent off the edge a couple of times for the Bulldogs and had an interception as well. Really, really good, solid player, man. I'm surprised he's not getting a little bit more buzz for an earlier day 2 pick here. But if the Panthers could get a really good value on this guy, I like the identifying of Daylen Everette at the combine here. In terms of a scouting report, because I wanted to get a little bit more information on him, I can't sit here and act like I've watched hours of Daylen Everette tape. But he's a sturdy, thick boundary cornerback with good length. He fits the measurables that the Panthers like to take with their boundary corners. Effective reading and jumping short zone routes. So he's absolutely a guy who's willing to take the gamble there, but he's really, really sound when he does it. Anticipates breaks and blankets receivers from tight man. So like he's really just good at not letting a guy get too much separation there. I'm reading a lot of good things about Daylen Everette, to be honest with you guys. Allows too many easy pitch and catch throws, though. So even though he's good at reading and reacting and jumping some routes in the short area, he does kind of play off a little bit and will allow the ball to get caught in front of him. And then he grabs and holds and end up becoming easy calls. It's something that a lot of these up-and-coming draft prospects at the defensive back position end up having in their game. That could be sorted out and adjusted and refined as he becomes a pro. Last but not least of the Panthers draft combine visits that we have really confirmed so far as the time of recording this video, C.J. Allen. And this is a guy who's not a day 3 or day 2 guy. He's going to be taken in the first round. Could potentially fall out to like early second, kind of like Carson Schwarzenegger did in 2025. But it looks like he's going to be a guy who goes in the first 32 selections. 6'1", 235, so not as big as Sonny Styles, but he is a guy who has been very entrusted with Kirby Smart's defense there with the Georgia Bulldogs. A true green dot guy here. C.J. Allen, 3.5 sacks in 2025, 88 total tackles, 8 TFLs. He had a fumble recovery and 2 forced fumbles as well, and 4 PBUs. He's a really, really just sound football player overall. Incredibly intelligent, smart, knows where to have it, knows where his teammates need to be aligned as well. And look, I think there's no doubt that some blue chip linebacker will be brought in this offseason in some way, shape, or form, whether that's free agency or the draft, with a very high priority. Dan Morgan said we're attacking that position. So are they going to go out there and give $20 million to Devin Lloyd? Or are they going to trade up for a guy like Sonny Styles or take C.J. Allen at pick 19? He's absolutely a guy who's going to be on the board there and could go around any of the selections near Carolina. I like C.J. Allen a lot, and here's what he had to say on meeting with the Panthers.
Man, it's definitely great. Like I said, just to be sitting in that room and beside Dan Morgan, man, it definitely means a lot for sure. I mean, either way, you just talking ball, whether he just know what you're saying, you know what you're talking about, so that's the biggest difference.
Allen is a really, really good football player, man. It's at the end of the day, he doesn't really make a lot of mistakes. He has some athletic limitations, even though he does have really, really good sideline-to-sideline speed. But in coverage, he got caught a little bit in some certain situations. Most of the time in zone coverage, he's been really, really good. But in some certain man coverage situations, some play action, he's gotten roughed up a little bit here. In terms of his coverage stats from 2025, he allowed 219 yards, 23 of 33 completion percentage. The quarterback rating not too bad either, but didn't end up getting his hands on enough footballs there and didn't create any turnovers when in coverage as well. But he's been a guy again who has a lot of trust on this Georgia Bulldogs defense, and it's not something that Kirby Smart gives away super lightly, right? C.J. Allen, I was reading a bunch of stuff on him, and there's talk that he basically called the defense most of the time, and only the time that he would get calls into his helmet would be when the Georgia wanted to do something like pretty elaborate schematically. When they were just calling the base defense and making their adjustments, that was C.J. Allen doing that stuff. In terms of his scouting report, like I said, he's getting better at zone coverage as he progresses, and that's something that's going to be a really, really big piece of where the Panthers look at drafting a linebacker or bringing one in, because they need somebody who can cover over the middle of the field. He's got great instincts, quickly diagnoses plays, has great play recognition in that regard. He's a really good communicator and a true green dot guy. He knows where everybody has to be on the football field. He knows where he has to be on the football field, and he reads and reacts accordingly. He can be flat-footed against play action, though. He just kind of gets caught, can get burned a little bit, and recovery speed isn't all the way there, especially at the linebacker spot. And he doesn't really cause many turnovers or generates big hits. that is something that like I do just kind of love in my linebackers. I want you to bring the aggression. I want you to be creating turnovers and making game-changing plays. And if we're going to be taking one in round 1, I would potentially like a little bit more of that in your game. But again, that's stuff that could necessarily be improved upon once he becomes a pro. And like I said, man, he was the golden boy of the Georgia Bulldogs defense, a really, really good football player. But I didn't love his pro comp, not going to lie. Zaire Franklin, I mean, he's just not a guy who I would personally want to be comped for. Like, he's an average guy at the NFL level. He's really kind of fallen off a cliff over the past couple of seasons. He's been in the league like 8 years at this point. So I don't mind the comp in terms of play style, but in terms of ceiling, I think I'd like C.J. Allen to get a little bit better than where Zaire Franklin reached. What would you guys do? If you were the Carolina Panthers and you were looking for one of these blue chip linebackers in round 1, would you trade up for Sonny Styles or would you draft C.J. Allen at pick 19? Type SS for Sonny Styles trading up or C.J. Allen for drafting him at pick 19. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section, as that will do it for today's show. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, youtube.com/Panthers Today for the latest and greatest under Carolina Panthers all offseason. And with the Combine continuing, we'll see you guys next time. And as always, keep pounding.